Hello, this is Stuart Rosebrook from Arizona Roundup at Charlotte Hall Museum. And this week at Charlotte Hall, my guest is Sheri Heiney. Sheri is the president and CEO of the Prescott Chamber of Commerce. And Sheri, I think you and I met just a few years ago when we moved to Prescott, and we're really glad to have you on the program this week.
Well, thank you for having me, and it's an honor to be. Am I your second guest? I understand, or one of many.
One of the first 10 guests on Arizona Roundup. It's a brand new podcast here at Charlotte Hall Museum,
Love
and
it.
our goal when I started here as executive director last July was to launch this podcast as a community service. You know, I love being on local radio. I've been on your radio show here in Prescott. And I just thought this is an opportunity to bring the museum beyond the fence and to start bringing in people from the community and talking about all the exciting things happening here in the city, talking to authors and writers and creative people, movers and shakers of the city, and just bring more voice to all the wonderful things happening here in Prescott.
Well, you're a great visionary, and congratulations, and looking forward to the interview.
Great, Sheri. I wanted to ask you a couple of questions, though. Is Arizona your hometown or your home state, or where are you originally from?
Well, thank you for asking. I'm originally from Michigan.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, in the Metro Detroit area.
All right.
I have been in all parts of Michigan.
Okay.
I was born and raised on the west side in Manistee. But I ended my career. I was the president and CEO there for 17 years in Rochester, Michigan.
Okay. So you grew up over there off of, is that Lake Michigan?
It is.
So
yeah.
You get a little snow effect on in western Michigan?
Yeah. This time of year, I mean, when we lived in Michigan, you wouldn't see the sun for at least 6 months.
Well, I relate to living in Iowa City for 9 years.
Yes.
And we could use a little bit of the snow here in Prescott this time of year.
We could.
And they're not sharing, though. Most of that snow is going across the lakes this year, and they're getting big snows.
Absolutely. Yeah. But can you believe I've been here for 8 years now?
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
I know.
Well, I think you are one of the most recognized and popular people here in the city. You have done so much for the city of Prescott as our CEO and president of the Chamber of Commerce. I went to a couple of meetings this week, and I'm just hearing some great things, numbers of people who've joined the chamber. And tell me a little bit about what brought you to Prescott and some of the things that you've accomplished so far at the Chamber of Commerce.
Well, thank you. Yeah, so it was a 10-year goal for my husband and I. His parents actually lived in Sedona. So every vacation we spent here in Arizona. And we knew when the 4 children grew up and I always joke, kicked them out of the house, we sold the family home, and we were following our dream. And that dream started 8 years ago. It was a wonderful journey. It was kind of cute because we had just visited Sedona like in October. And then I returned back, and there was a headhunter that contacted me and said, Prescott, Arizona is looking for a president and CEO of the chamber. And I think I sent off my resume first before consulting my husband. But, the rest is history. We're here. At that same time, while I was interviewing, positions became available within the city. And he worked for the city of Birmingham, and I worked for Rochester. And so we we had similar careers. We were actually in competing communities, which that was interesting.
I bet.
That's a whole nother podcast.
Right. And John is with the city of Prescott. Is that right?
Yes.
And he is tell me what his position is.
I don't know. He does a lot. He handles communication, economic development, and tourism.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So he's got a lot on his plate.
So tell me, though, just so our listeners can get a perspective, you talked about Detroit, and I'm sure everyone right now is, if you were a Lions fan, we'll talk about them later. But tell me where Birmingham and Rochester, Michigan are in relation to Detroit or Ann Arbor.
Well, I would say Rochester and Birmingham are very close to each other, about 20 minutes. There's a lot of communities in the urban areas, and we were probably about 30 minutes away from downtown Detroit.
Okay. All right.
Yep. And we were in Oakland County, which is one of the top wealthiest counties in the country. And we were right next to Chrysler headquarters. And so we had the big three just right in our backyard.
Well, Motor City. And I do know that Prescott, Arizona has motor history right here. We're coming up on the centennial of Route 66. And annually, I believe you have one of the largest Corvette events anywhere in the American Southwest. So you brought a little Motor City to Prescott.
There it is.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about some of the things that you've achieved the last few years. We're going to take a break here in a minute, but what are some of the accomplishments that you believe have made a big difference in growing the Chamber of Commerce?
Well, it takes a tribe, it takes a team, and we have some of the best board of directors, staff, volunteers working together on our strategic plan. And I think that's the key formula is that we're all a team working together and just really striving to make this community the best it can be.
Fantastic. Well, we're going to take a break here, Sheri, and come back and talk a little bit about when you come to Prescott, how to start your visit at the Chamber of Commerce.
Wonderful.
Since 1995, Helkin and Horn Ad Agency in Prescott, Arizona has helped local businesses stand out and succeed. From print and radio to websites and social media, their talented team crafts your brand's message and offers a plan to get it out into the community. Want results backed by 30 years of experience? Visit azadagency.com today. Helkin and Horn, where their slogan is "Be Known." Welcome back to Arizona Roundup with Stuart Rosebrook at Sharlot Hall Museum in Prescott, Arizona. And my special guest this week is Sheri Heiney. She is the CEO and president of the Prescott Chamber of Commerce. And I love your building. Tell us a little bit about your location and why it's the place to start when you come to Prescott.
Well, thank you. Well, first of all, it's a historical building, so that's probably why you love it.
Yeah, that's for sure.
It's the old firehouse, and my office is actually the old jail cell as well. So
I love that.
So that building has some history. We own it. It's a beautiful building, and we also operate the state designated visitor center.
Okay.
Which is open 7 days a week. Monday through Friday from 9 to 5, and Saturdays and Sundays from 10 to 2, with the exception of we are on some winter hours because we are closed on Sundays right now through March, and then we'll open up and be full steam.
Sure.
But what is great about stopping there first is that we have wonderful volunteers that run the visitor center along with our manager, Robert Coombs, who's been there for over 20 years. And we will connect a visitor with any opportunity that's available. So we can basically identify your itinerary for the day, where you want to shop, eat, visit, and if you're a resident, where you can get services, like where you can get your hair done or your vehicle fixed, or, maybe you're looking for an attorney or an accountant.
Right.
All of those things as well. So we can help guide you through that. I always identify us as the receptionist of the community.
I love it. And tell us a little bit the location. I know you're right on
Goodwin Street.
Goodwin,
Yeah.
And near the corner of Montezuma.
That's correct.
One of the most historic corners in the city.
Yes, and we're right next to the post office as well.
Right, on the plaza.
Yep.
The historic Yavapai County Courthouse Plaza.
Yep.
And so if you stop in at the chamber as a visitor, you're in walking distance of the historic district of Prescott.
Absolutely.
Right. And you can also sign up for historic tours there. Is that right?
That is. I was going to bring that up. So starting in May through October, every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we do walking tours. We actually partner with you, the Sharlot Hall Museum. Many of the folks that are giving the tour have gone through your program and know all the history.
Right.
And they make sure it's correct. And it's delightful. It's a nice walking. I think it's about a 90-minute tour. And this group is so enthusiastic, they're actually going to be adding more tours as well, which they're in the works of. So it's a great way to learn more about the community, get out. And, I always encourage not only residents to get to know your community, visitors love it, but also businesses can have do team building with this. And I will tell you, for anyone who's listening, if you don't know about Mike the dog, you got to go on the tour.
All right. What I love about the location of the Chamber of Commerce right there at Goodwin and Montezuma is that you can park your car and you're in walking distance of the Western Heritage Center, a quarter mile away to Sharlot Hall Museum, the heart of our restaurant and entertainment district. Tell us a little bit about some of the things that if you're a first-time visitor or You're coming back to Prescott during all seasons. What are some of the things that people should expect when they come to the plaza and want to visit Charlotte Hall? But before they walk down the street to Charlotte Hall Museum, a couple places they can stop that they shouldn't miss when they're downtown.
Well, you mentioned the Western Heritage Center, and I think that's a great stop because you can get a taste of all of our museums,
Right.
and help, identify that itinerary as well. I think the other thing that I love about, if you're going to stop in and come downtown, is just it's a Hallmark town. There are a lot of historical buildings here. If you love history, we have the historical walking tour as well that you can take yourself. It's self-guided. There's also so many restaurants. I don't know if I could identify. I mean, the Palace obviously is been there for a long time, but we've got Matt's Saloon and the Friends of the Jersey Lily Saloon, and there's just so many historical saloons and restaurants and businesses and shops. It's so delightful. That's why I always identified as a Hallmark community.
I love that. I love that description because I know that whether it's myself just going downtown or we have friends or family, every time I go downtown, I'm always discovering something new.
Mm-hmm.
The merchants and the restaurateurs and the saloon owners and the men and women who take such pride in our city and in their businesses to try to give people the best experience possible.
And I think that you also receive that very friendly, everybody's hometown feeling as well.
I was going to say that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's whether you're on the plaza or you walk a few blocks off or you're visiting neighborhoods around the city of Prescott. We are a community of neighborhoods, and I've never walked into a place in Prescott where people don't say welcome, glad you're here, and how can we help you? It really is a real throwback community that makes Prescott so special.
And what is super fun is if you go on Whiskey Row, you might even see a cowboy.
That's for sure.
So that's awesome.
Right.
And we also have a walking tour too on the Granite Corridor area right by the creek.
Right.
You can, if you know where El Gato is, you can find that trail right there. And we recently did a networking hike on that trail, and that's impressive. There's a lot of, we had Eric Moore, and he was identifying birds that were on the trail. He's a bird enthusiast, and it's just, to think that you can walk on a trail and then just step on and be in a Hallmark downtown is
Right.
just a wonderful thing.
Yeah, I love taking that walk. Actually, last year during the Prescott Indian Art Market, we were parking away from the museum so that our guests that were here for the 2-day Prescott Indian Art Market in September, I would take that walk along the creek, and you just stepped away from the sounds of the city and enjoyed nature along that walk. It is really one of our great little treasures here in Prescott.
It is, and there's a lot of murals there now, and so that's another thing that we have is our our murals,
right,
of the area. I know there's some in the alley, on that trail. There's new ones, and I think that's awesome.
Right. Well, we're going to take a quick break here and thank our sponsors, and we'll be right back with Sheri Heiney, CEO and President of the Prescott Chamber of Commerce. If you're looking for the store that has everything, Prescott True Value Hardware might be your answer. From having that part to fix that leaky faucet to decorating your garden with charm, they've got it all at Prescott True Value Hardware and a friendly face to match. For over 30 years, they've proudly served Prescott, supporting neighbors like you and local nonprofits along the way. So take time and visit Prescott True Value Hardware at 846 Miller Valley Road. They're more than just a hardware store. Welcome back to Arizona Roundup with Stuart Rosebrook at Charlotte Hall Museum in Prescott, Arizona. My guest today is Sheri Heiney. She's the CEO and president of the Prescott Chamber of Commerce. We're having a great time talking today about how fun it is to visit Prescott throughout the 4 seasons. Right now, it's the middle of winter. Haven't had much snow yet, but I know that one of the things that you love to do is horses. You are a horse owner.
Yes.
And I remember one of the first times we met, it was coming up on the 4th of July, and we were working on the Junior Bonner 50th anniversary celebration. And you told me, Stuart, I'm going to be in the rodeo this year. I am going to qualify to be in the grand entry. So tell me how you captured that Western spirit, or maybe you were riding horses as a girl back in Michigan. Tell me about that.
Well, yeah. So my parents bought me a Shetland pony when I was little. And of course, I loved that pony, but then we moved and I had to get rid of it.
Oh,
So it was always a dream to have horses again. So when we moved here, we purchased property where that could happen. And, we rescued a mini donkey and a mini pony, Melvin and Jasper, who I always talk about. And right now, I have partnered with Horses with Hearts, and I do have a therapy horse on property who is taking a winter break. And so that's just been amazing. And I do get to ride him on property and that sort of thing. But what really got me started was I had never been to a rodeo. So my first year, you're president, CEO of the chamber, you probably should go to the world's oldest rodeo.
that's for sure.
And so I was invited, and I can remember just I was so in love with that experience. And when I watched all the horses come in with the flag, I turned to John and I said, I'm going to do that someday. And, of course, I since connected with the team over at the rodeo, Jim Dewey Brown and all of that, and was able to get a horse and be able to do that. And it's been so rewarding. I just love that piece of it. It's a lot of fun. Now I actually have sponsors fighting over if I'm going to carry their flag or not.
How about that?
But I'm dedicated to APS. I carry their flag.
That's great. Well, APS is a great partner with all of us here
Mm-hmm.
in terms of helping our nonprofits and helping keep our heritage alive here in Prescott. And being in the rodeo grand entry, you're kind of walking in the footsteps a little bit of Sharlot Hall. She always saw herself as a cowgirl and a rancher. And that rodeo really celebrates that heritage. And this year, they're celebrating the strong women who helped build the West and the women of the rodeo. And Sharlot Hall herself is one of those women. She moved here in 1883. The rodeo was born 5 years later. I think it's going to be an exciting rodeo to celebrate the women who helped build this territory and the state, and of course the rodeo.
I love that theme, and I believe that I will have a horse again this year, so I will hopefully be carrying that APS flag again.
Fantastic. And it's not just one show.
No.
A highlight for myself, I've been in the rodeo grand entry once, and it was just, we only had I was representing the Orem summer camp in the Orem school.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it is a highlight of all my experiences going to dozens of rodeos and attending year after year, but riding in that grand entry. But now you have to ride every night. Is that right?
Every show,
performance?
every performance.
All right.
And it's amazing. And there's a lot to it. And it looks very easy.
Oh, no.
It is not. So.
And how many horses, how many riders participate in that grand entry? Is it 50, 60, 70? It's pretty big.
Yeah.
Parade of horses.
I think it's based on their sponsorship, and it's at a minimum of 70.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty remarkable.
And plus you have the queens and riding with the flags, the grand sponsors, and the American flag and all of those things too.
Right.
So, but it's an amazing experience. And, that whole week, it's fun because I actually basically live there. It's a commitment, but it's a wonderful one. And it's it's something that I'll continue to do for as long as I can.
Well, it's a piece of history, and you got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's
exactly.
Fantastic.
I encourage you to do it.
Well, I have to talk to Jim Dewey Brown about that.
There you go.
And speaking of events, this last fall, did you continue the 100 Riders program? Is that event still happening here?
Yeah, that happens during our Fall Fest event.
Mm-hmm.
And that's awesome. They ride a trail. They go through the VA hospital area, and then behind Yavapai College, and then they come up and go through the downtown.
Right.
And that's always amazing. And I think it's like the first or second weekend in October.
Okay. What's the official name? What's the official name of that event?
I think it is 100 riders.
100 riders, right?
Yeah. So they try to get 100 folks to ride, and all the donations go to help and serve veterans.
Right.
So.
Well, one of the things that I really admire about what the Chamber does is it involves so many people in such a variety of events, something that we try to do here at Sharlot Hall. We're really working hard to get foot traffic here for events and lectures and Living History Saturdays, and of course our exhibits and our ongoing programs to help educate people about our history and heritage. tell me a little bit about some of the plans you have for this spring, because people are getting their calendars full to come up to Prescott this year. So what are some things that are kicking off the spring season here in Prescott?
Yeah, so we have some signature events that we constantly do. Our first major community event that we do is Off Street Festival, and so we're working on those details right now. And then we also have Territorial Days and Bluegrass Festival, which is probably my favorite. We have the only free bluegrass festival this side of the Mississippi.
That's a big deal.
It is a big deal. And we bring in artists and we really try to focus on youth and, bluegrass, traditional bluegrass. And so that's usually the third Saturday, Sunday in June.
It's a big month here in Prescott.
It is. And it usually, what I love about bluegrass is it kind of kicks off the rodeo too.
Right.
Jim and I always talk about that. Like he knows, it's usually bluegrass and then boom, rodeo starts.
Right.
So that's really nice. And then we have our Labor Day parade, or not parade, excuse me, our Labor Day arts and crafts show. And then we have the October show. And then we roll into Arizona's Christmas City.
Arizona's Christmas City, which we're going to talk about tonight on the show. And I was thinking about when you're talking about how June's becoming such a Western month for Prescott. I know that Memorial Day weekend, the Fippen has their big Western art show.
They sure do.
And everybody's circling the calendar what's going to happen on the plaza, right? Mm-hmm. And then I believe at the rodeo grounds, maybe a week later, there's the high school rodeo championships of Arizona.
Yep.
And then you roll into the Bluegrass Festival, and then right into rodeo week.
Yeah. And I believe, and I don't know if I should let this out, but I think we're also working on a college rodeo too.
Oh, that's tremendous.
Yeah.
And of course, we're trying to make sure that we have plenty of good exhibits and activities over here so that when people have a little extra time, they're here for a weekend of events, come on down to Sharlot Hall Museum. And I think that that's one of the fun things about working with the Chamber and the Western Heritage Center as the two most important places downtown that are promoting how people can come here and immerse themselves in our local museums and Western heritage and kind of do that little route from downtown, the Western Heritage Center. Don't miss the Fippen Art Museum, one of the finest Western art museums in the state of Arizona.
Absolutely.
The Museum of Indigenous People, one of a very unique and very special place to understand the people who are original indigenous tribes here in Arizona, and then come out to Sharlot Hall Museum and get a real immersion in our territorial and our state history and learn about from prehistory to the present.
Absolutely.
And it's a great combination. There's very few towns, I believe, in Arizona where you can do all of that just within a few miles of each other, and you're set to go travel the rest of the state. This is a great primer on our state history.
Absolutely. And I know, you've done such a great job here with Sharlot Hall, and I know that you really work hard on getting those exhibits to kind of match what's going on in the community.
Yeah, that's a really big deal. And working with the Daily Courier and our Days Past articles that inspires people to learn more about our state history. We're in there every Sunday, and also to come over and use our archives and library to research topics that you're writing about, or searching for a photograph that might remind you of when your family lived here in the past. We are one of the most important state libraries and archives as well. Why don't we come back here in a moment, Sheri, and talk a little bit about some of the big events that are going to happen next year, including Arizona's Christmas City.
Sounds great.
For over 45 years, Blind Brothers Arizona has been the heart of window style in Prescott. From blinds, shutters, drapes, they custom design and install with expert precision, tailored to you. Whether for your home or office, trust the name locals rely on. Visit blindbrothersaz.com today or call 928-776-1845 for a free consultation. That's blindbrothersaz.com at 928-776-1845. Blind Brothers Arizona, the original since 1979. Welcome back to Arizona Roundup with Stuart Rosebrook at Sharlot Hall Museum, and my guest today is Sheri Heiney, the CEO and president of the Prescott Chamber of Commerce. And we were just talking a little bit about Arizona's Christmas City, which has become one of the number one events in the state of Arizona. Tell us a little bit about that, and then we're going to hear about some new things happening in 2025.
Absolutely. Thank you. Well, just coming off of Arizona Christmas City, I think that's just like the highlight of the area. Obviously, we're the state designated Christmas City, and that's amazing. But this year we added a few more things to our portfolio, and that's being one of the top 10 Christmas cities in the United States, and then top 50 in the world.
That's amazing.
So,
wow.
That's, I think that speaks for itself.
Sure, and it does.
It goes back to the hallmark of this downtown and what we all do to just cherish these traditions that make it so strong. And I think one of the key things, the key formula, the key success of Arizona's Christmas City is how much the whole community engages in it. It's completely supported mostly by individuals and sponsorships. And most recently, like in 2022, we all partnered together, the folks that are putting on all of these events. There's the Prescott Downtown Partnership, ACR, and Matt Saloon, and the boot drop piece, along with, the parades and all of that. So we all sat down together and kind of tried to work on how we could work together more. And I think that's paid off in dividends.
Oh, most definitely.
Of fundraising. Now we're fundraising together. Of course, we connected with Tracy Horn, and she's really helped us put the marketing piece to it. And, it's a huge economic impact. It's over 52 million, creates over 500 jobs, brings in about 3 million in taxes. So it's important to our community for many reasons. First of all, just number one, the traditions.
Right.
I've seen people get engaged, married, you name it. It's happening out there.
It's magical.
It is. And then the other part of it is the business aspect. Our business community tells us it's one of the busiest days, it's the busiest time. Obviously, the numbers replicate that. And, from a tourism point of view, the hotels are booked. So the idea is to create commerce, and it certainly does. But it also is a tradition. It was 70 years we celebrated the courthouse lighting, and many of the other ones are in their 30s and 40s. So right. It's a big deal.
Well, that courthouse lighting, if anyone's traveled the United States and gone through a lot of smaller towns or traditional towns with a plaza or square downtown, mm-hmm. There's something about, I never get tired of coming over the rise of Gurley and catching the lights. Mm-hmm. as the courthouse plaza is lit up, and then the celebration of the courthouse lighting brings people from all over the community and the county and the state, visitors from out of town, celebrating the holidays and just the traditions of the courthouse lighting. And then this year it was extended into January with a very special blue lights in mm-hmm. honor of all of our police officers and our EMTs and everyone who works in emergency services. It was a really, really special year to watch the community come together. And I think the partnership between commerce and businesses and bringing people throughout the year, it's if people haven't experienced the Arizona's Christmas City in Prescott, they need to put it on their list and come here and experience it in person.
Absolutely. And I think what's great about that campaign is it's 7 weeks long. So the day that we actually host it, we turn the lights on, is the first Saturday of December. That's the way it always is. But people can enjoy it. It's on until up to Martin Luther King's Day.
That's right. I just saw them this weekend after MLK Day, taking the lights down. And I was thinking about Jersey Lilies, mm-hmm. and again, the role of a local business and the families that came together that said, hey, this is important. We should help raise money every year to make sure the lights are the best or better than they were last year. How does that program work?
Well, so it all started with the Meredith family when they owned the Jersey Lily Saloon, and mm-hmm. they have a group called the Friends of the Jersey Lily, and and they're just so engaged. They love it. They're very passionate about it. They love that tradition. And it kind of started because there wasn't that many trees lit. And so the goal was to get all the trees lit on
I
the
love
plaza. And so they certainly have, they've achieved that. But, and that's the thing that brings us all together. Here you have a business and this group of very passionate people that want to support this tradition, and they have relations with all the other folks. And I will tell you, the people that will come on their day to have the auctions and all of that to fundraise, they can't wait. And it's part of their tradition now is to come. It's like you buy half your Christmas gifts then,
right?
or whatever. There's so many things. The businesses donate all these things, all these great gifts and just raffle prizes, and people will bid on them, and it helps support those lights.
That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So we were talking before the break a little bit about the fact that we're just come off of Arizona Christmas City and New Year's Eve with the boot drop. CNN was here. It was a really big deal. But now we're almost towards the end of January, beginning of February, and we're starting to look ahead this year. What new can you talk about, Sheri?
Well, in addition to overseeing the Prescott Chamber, I'm also I'm in charge of the Prescott Chamber Foundation. And so the foundation was established in 2005. And, its goal is to provide resources to help support the community. And we have a lot of initiatives going on through the foundation as well that I like to talk about. One of them that's a benefit to the community itself is the minor home repair program.
Okay.
And so that is, we give out to Prescott residents in need that qualify grants up to $5,000 to do minor home repair. And we've helped folks bring heat back to their home, water, all sorts of
that's wonderful
things. So that project is up and running. So if you're in need of that there's a resource out there for you. One of the things that I'm very proud of is we were able to get some very substantial grants where we put together a 5-year regional economic development and workforce plan. And with that, we hired consultants. We brought in about 125 stakeholders, and we've got this awesome plan that now the Central Arizona Partnerships will be making sure that plan gets put in place. And so we have a team of people that are working on that from a regional point of view. Mm-hmm. And so our goal is to identify the kind of businesses and jobs that are needed for sustainability, and also that would fit in our market. We're very mindful of that. We need to have those kind of jobs available to us. And, we're going to also be looking at workforce and housing and all of those things that are so important to our community for sustainability.
Well, that's fantastic. I learned something brand new about the role of the Chamber of Commerce here, mm-hmm. and that's foundation, really a partner, making Prescott a great city for everyone.
Absolutely. And that is so rewarding, and there's a lot to that, and we'll probably hear more about it, but it's in its beginning stages, and it's business run, and the businesses are really excited about this opportunity as well.
That's great. Well, let's wrap up the show here, Sheri. We're definitely going to have you back on here real soon. Tell me a little bit about how many, I think you have record numbers in the chamber right now, and how do you become a member, and what's your location, website, et cetera?
Yeah. So we're at 1,172 members, probably more than that now. I don't know. That was what we gave about 3 weeks ago.
Uh-huh. That's big.
Yeah, it is big. But also I would say, if you want to be a part of the community, be connected, it's a great place to be a part of, so from a membership point of view, you could go to prescott.org. There's all kinds of opportunities for that. You can give us a call at 928-445-2000 or visit us at 117 West Goodwin Street. Or, just all those ways to connect with us. And, I think also make it a point to visit the visitor center, because it's a great opportunity, and take one of those walking tours, and
that's great.
Just engage.
Wonderful. And immerse yourself in our great city of Prescott, Arizona.
You bet.
Thank you, Sheri.
Thank you.
See you back here on the show very soon.
Sounds great.
All right. This is Stuart Rosebrook with Arizona Roundup at Sharlot Home Museum. Thank you for listening. Since 2007, Pinion Painting has been transforming homes and businesses with over 40 years of firsthand experience. They bring superior craftsmanship and an eye for detail to every project, making your vision a reality, hassle-free. Your time is precious. Trust Pinion Painting to get it right the first time. Visit Pinion Painting today and let them transform your space. On the web at pinionpainting.com. That's pinionpainting.com.
Well, that's a wrap, folks, and thank you very much. Thank you, Stuart and Sheri, for sharing the stories and the opportunities in, indeed, Prescott, Arizona, the mile-high cowboy city and everybody's favorite hometown. And thank you all of the fine sponsors from Prescott who have stepped forward and said, we believe in the city and we believe in this new outreach and we believe in Sharlot Hall Museum. And we are grateful for their sponsorship, and we encourage you to support them and thank them for being on the Arizona Roundup team. My name is Stan Houston. I'm part of the people who put it together from the Cowboy Spirit Radio Network, and we are encouraging you very much to make sure that if you're in the Prescott area, you stop into the Sharlot Hall Museum, and it is not just a museum. It's a bit of an adventure, a real experience. And who knows, maybe we'll have a radio program going on just for you. You know, we're planning on doing things just like that. So all the best and blessings to you. Come around next week for another adventure on Arizona Roundup. Till then, take care, walk tall, be careful. Be safe and take care and bless one another. Happy trails to you and bye for now.